Hi, my name is Diego Mendez. I'm a bankruptcy loan modification foreclosure lawyer here in Miami, Florida. I've been doing this type of law for about 13 years, and I've helped a lot of people apply for loan modifications either directly or through bankruptcies or through different types of court programs. And I've seen a lot of people get loan modifications. I've also seen a lot of people get denied, but there is a system and there is a way that you have a decent shot of getting a loan modification after a few tries. Now, I'm going to talk about something called the almost foolproof strategy of how you can get a loan modification if you understand the process and how loan modifications work and how the application works. Now, there's never a guarantee in these things. There are people who are going to apply several times and will still get denied. But there's some people who don't understand how to apply and they could have gotten a loan modification but didn't understand the process. I'm going to call this backing into a loan modification. It is a strategy, it's a way of applying for a loan modification that gives you the best chance of getting an actual loan modification once you understand the process. Again, my name is Diego Mendez. I'm a loan modification and bankruptcy attorney here in Miami, Florida. My channel is called Debt Law, Survival Guide for the Desperate Debtor. I very much appreciate that you would subscribe to my channel and like my videos, because I keep making these videos specifically on loan modifications, on forbearances, and on different issues involving home ownership, credit, and other forms of distress that people are having right now due to COVID and other situations. Thank you. Now, before we get into the strategy on how to apply for loan modifications, you have to understand a couple things. There are some people who, no matter how many times they apply, they are going to get denied. The reason for this is either the house is worth too little versus the debt, or is worth too much versus the debt. That situation is something that I'm not going to deal with in this video. What I'm talking about in this video are people who have a shot of getting a loan modification and how they can maximize and optimize their application so that they can possibly get a positive result from their application. Now, a couple things to understand before you even get into any of this. There are a few important rules to the strategy that we're going to talk about. The first, most important, and the absolute way you're always going to get denied is if you do not submit a complete package. If you don't submit a complete package, this system won't work and nobody else's system is going to work. You're always going to get denied. So in order to get a loan modification, you have to apply correctly the first time with a complete package. If you do that, then you have at least a chance to get past the first gate. The first gate is seeing if you have a complete package. The second issue you're going to run into if you're applying for loan modification before we even get into the strategy is waiting too long to apply. If you are very close to a sale date, yes, in theory you can apply for loan modification and maybe get something and maybe stop the sale date. The problem is that if you are very close to a sale date, and I'm saying within 6 months of a sale date, you will likely get denied because you're going to run out of time. It takes a few months for a bank to process a loan modification application. So if you wait, definitely within 30 days or 90 days, you're going to get denied. But even if you wait 6 months, you're still pushing it. You need to do this as far in advance as possible so that you have a chance of getting a loan modification. If you wait till the last minute, you will get denied. Now, the last thing you need to understand that applying for loan modification is not a sure thing. There are no guarantees in anything that I'm talking about. This is just a strategy, a way to finesse the system a little bit and get you closer to a positive result. But obviously, there are no guarantees in life. There's no guarantees that any of this stuff is going to actually work. However, if you follow this system, you're more likely than not to get something positive out of your application process. Now, the first thing to understand is that you need to apply. And what I mean by that is you're not really going to get any kind of result if you don't put an application in. The first time you apply is the baseline. You need to apply with your regular W-2 income from yourself and your spouse, if you have a spouse. You apply using this. Now, a lot of people are going to do this and get a loan modification and be done with it. If that's your case, well, congratulations. You are a very lucky person, and I'm very happy you were able to get a loan modification. But a lot of people will get denied even off this. So, but you have to understand that getting denied is not a bad thing. And I'm going to explain that in a second. But the first step is to throw a complete package out there and see what the bank does. The bank has to give you some sort of response from your application. Now, once you get a response, then you can really truly get into the system of how to back into a loan modification. Now, the number one thing you have to understand is that the response could be a positive result, which is that you get a loan modification. Now, I'm getting a lot of questions from people who got loan modification and they don't like the loan modification. I'm not going to get into that in this video. This is not about trying to get a lower rate or getting something better than what you were applied, than what you were offered the first time. I'm not going to focus on that. What I'm going to focus on are people who get denied. But in theory, you could get a loan modification off the first application. Now, most people will probably get denied. That's what you have to understand. The majority of the people will get denied the first time they apply. That's not a bad thing, because the denial itself will give you information that you need to reapply. And this is where the system kicks in. You need to pay attention to that denial. The denial is your friend. The denial is going to tell you things that you're going to be able to then turn around and use to reapply. Now, if you're denied for not enough income, this is actually a good thing, because not enough income means that in theory you can find income, and I will talk about that in a second, and reapply with new income, either through contributor or rental income. There's different ways to do that. The second reason that people get denied, and the one that is basically you just wasted your time, is documentation. You did not submit a complete package. Now, it's not the end of the world, because they're going to tell you what you're missing. If you reapply, you have to understand that when you reapply, you need to reapply with a complete package. That means that, let's say that they tell you that you're missing a bank statement. Don't just send a bank statement unless they specifically ask you for that and say only send us this. Don't just send a new bank statement. You're going to have to reapply with a complete package. But again, every situation is different. Pay attention to what the letter says. Now, the last thing, and the thing that I'm really not going to get into because that's a show unto itself, is NPV, which basically means that you're getting denied because the house is worth either too little or too much. It's a business decision that the bank is making, saying that we're not going to give you a loan modification because we think you can either refinance, sell, or just give up the property, and we'll just take the property back and be done with it. We're not going to get into that, but that is a bad denial. If you do get that denial, there are ways around it, but it's very difficult, and we're not going to talk about that here today. Now, the last thing, the last step, is the reapplication process. Once you've been denied, you're going to have information from the denial, like I mentioned, that's going to explain to you what you can do next. Now, if you get denied because your income is too low, this is the best denial of all, because this you can cure. A lot of people at this point will either take a second job for a little while to get some extra income, or they'll have something called a contributor income. Contributor income is money that a contributor will give you every month to help you with your bills. If you're an older person, you have adult children, maybe they can help you for a short period of time through the loan modification process to get you to the point where you can positively get a positive result from having some contributor income. This is tricky stuff, and this is when you run into real life. This is the real life stuff here. If you require contributor income for a loan modification application in order to get a loan modification, but you don't think that you're going to keep getting that contributor income after the fact, then you're really kind of setting yourself up for failure, because you're not going to really be able to afford this house if they give you a loan modification. That's up to you and your family. I don't know. A lot of people work it out. They figure out how to do it, but that's just something to think about. The other way to show more income is through renting a room in your property. If you have the ability to do that, some people have little apartments on the side. Obviously, that is a good thing. You can use that income, and you have to be able to verify it, which means it has to be put into a bank account. But obviously, that's another way to do it. Now, You have to understand that this is a process, which means that you might have to repeat this last step over and over again until you find the right number for them to accept a loan modification. You don't want to lie on any of your applications, but you want to make sure that they understand that you do have contributor income, you have extra income, and that you're willing to put that towards the mortgage payment to help you make the mortgage payment. That is how the banks look at it. Make sure that you tell the truth, and make sure that you understand that if that contributor income is significant, let's say that you require $2,000 a month from a child, from one of your adult children, and that money is not going to be there in a few months because it just was there for the purposes of the application, that you might run into a problem later. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about simply the application. So that's it. That's called backing into a loan modification. There's other steps, there's other things that you're going to need to understand, but that's the basic concept. The basic concept is that if you are denied, you can use the denial information to reapply. It's a basic step, and it's something that works. This does work. This is what people do when they understand the loan modification process. I always tell my clients that you might not get the loan modification the first time, but it's possible after the second or third time that you do. That's very important for you to understand. Again, my name is Diego Mendez. I'm a loan modification and bankruptcy lawyer here in Miami, Florida. I've been doing this type of law for a lot of years. I've helped thousands and thousands of people with their loan modifications, bankruptcies, and foreclosure matters throughout the years. Not every case is successful. Every case is different, but you have to understand that there is a path, there is a way, and if you stick with the path, you might actually get a positive result. Please subscribe to my channel, Debt Law Survival Guide for the Desperate Debtor. I'm going to keep making these videos. I was focused on COVID. Now I'm coming off COVID, and we're going to talk about loan modifications because that's what's going to happen now. A lot of people are coming off forbearance, and loan modifications are the thing that people are looking at to save their homes. Again, please subscribe, and thank you very much for watching my channel and watching my videos. I very much appreciate it. And please comment, and if I can answer your comments and answer your questions, I will. I can't always answer your questions, but I will be able to try to answer some of them, at least, so that I have some interaction with you, which I very much appreciate. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic day.